Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Paps, a rising VTuber and an artist, and today we are going to be doing another Attack for Art fight. Very excited. I've been keeping up a good streak. I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling winded at all. Um, I do think I operate at my best when I have like a couple of days between streams to recharge, because frankly, the 9 to 5 doesn't really leave a whole lot of room for fascinating exploration of oneself and one's environment. But I guess the having it like one after the other really does. Maybe it's like the opposite thing. Maybe I need to add more pressure to my life, so that way I have more of the sicko drive to actually like produce something. It's interesting. Sometimes you do need that pressure. Like obviously, it's not good to like overpressure yourself, but I do think that I am one of those people who does work better under more pressure. This has, however, led to certain incidents. Okay. Right, the character we'll be working with today is one made by my friend Toaster Pop. His name is Quincy. The character ID is number 4823819. He is a bartender dog man. I don't know where the dog begins and where the bartender ends. I think this is supposed to be not where the dog begins or where the bartender ends. I mean, like, I'm not into furries enough to understand, like, what's a meaningful distinction between, like, a wolf and a dog. Like, I guess the size is the easiest indicator, but sometimes it's very difficult to tell. I think these are dog colors, though. Like, I do think the like, brown fur is very much more dog-like than it would be, like, wolf-like. I could be wrong, though. I've been wrong before. Okay, so what I wanted to do is it a wolf? Are there brown wolves? Hang on. Brown wolf. More coyote? I could see that actually. You're right actually. You might be onto something with that. I mean, I guess it's hard to say whether wolves are brown or not. I feel like if you take a look, like there's like this wolf, but the colors are leaning more towards dog. Yeah, it's some manner of canid mammalian, light brown wolf. Like, it's very difficult for me to say. I guess this color is brown, but it doesn't feel brown. This is just like wolf colored to me. Also, hey Leah, how you doing? But yeah, I wouldn't. It's very strange. You would call this brown, but I don't think this is brown. This doesn't feel brown. It feels like almost like a yellowish color. Juno from Beastars? Oh god, it's been a long time since I've watched Beastars. Hang on, Juno Beastars. Oh, this kid. Right. I remember her. Funny ass character. God, Beastars is so fucking funny in retrospect. Like, it was funny during the production and everything, but it's also very funny in retrospect too. I do think Juno's role in the comic was very fascinating because, like, I think her job in the comic was to present like an alternative to Legoshi's kind of like very passive political consciousness. Like, I remember that she was very much like motivated by the kind of like reputation that carnivores had. I really wish it went with the theater kid thing they had going. I could see that being interesting, honestly. I do think it kind of expanded out of scope a little bit quickly. Like, first chapter story is Legoshi's just trying to stop this one kid in his class from basically doing the Beastars equivalent of, like, I guess taking a hit off a weed vape before the big stage production. He gets into a fucking fight over it. Then it escalates to him solving a murder in his school, and then it escalates to him like helping out the government. After he gets kicked out of school for solving the aforementioned murder due to a climactic fight he had with one of his classmates. Crazy work. And the funniest thing is he gets like trained to be a professional martial artist and vigilante like in the middle of the school shit. Like, Arc 2 is where he gets that training. That shit was... I think the fact that the author of Beastars was the child of the guy who wrote Baki, I think that explains so much of like that talent to kind of pull you into a world and string you on a story that just gets its pacing so good and just kind of folds you into the narrative so well that occasionally you forget that, wait a minute, how is this all happening? This doesn't make any sense. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I need to look up pictures of professional bartenders. There's like bartending competitions, isn't there? Oh, hang on. I'm getting a message from Leo, and I'm... Oh, hell... Hang on. Leo, is it cool if I put this up on the... on the Jumbotron? Because this is badass. It's okay if it's not related. Hang on, let me put this up on the big screen. Hell yeah! God, this fucking rules. I really like this darker skinned edit of Fallen too. It's really well done. Right, I was looking up for like bartender competitions. I feel like I've seen those happen before. Hang on. Cocktail competitions, a bar above. Cocktail competitions. Hang on. Maybe I use the YouTube. Bartender contest. America's top distracted you with Mexico. That gif of the hypnotizing dog. God. Alright, let's see here. Show me what you got. Published by GQ. That is surprising. But yeah. Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. Hang on, let me hang on. I gotta swap a couple of things around the desktop so that the music doesn't come through.
The country's best bartenders converged.
I'm mostly just interested in fishing for poses out of this.
The top 5 bartenders in America.
This video is like 6 minutes, so I'm just gonna like
stage to create their most. Get this thing started.
I'm just gonna go real quick through some of these.
Hit those notes of the I was back visioning. Realized.
Did they not like have any actual mixing? Oh wait, no, hang on. Here's a little bit of mixing for me. YouTube iPad baby time. It is crazy we're not even 10 minutes into this. Whoa. What's with the perfume bottle fragrance, Jones?
Sweetness, the wood. I thought that was genius.
Ladies
I
and
didn't know you were allowed to do
thank you
that.
again for joining me. And I would like to present my original Bombay Sapphire cocktail, Ahab's Odyssey.
Ahab's Odyssey is a badass name for a cocktail.
Make sure I got a little to think.
Okay, but this is all like maybe the pouring.
For me, it was the.
Hang on, this could work. This could work. Go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. But go back a few frames. Whoa, the air grab is crazy. Just kind of spank at that thing, huh? Okay.
For me, it was
very charming and very exciting.
Really? First one.
A little hiccup. Either way.
Obviously,
I don't think we even got to see this guy's drink.
Put us through. I'm so glad.
He didn't get like a presentation bit. Maybe it was earlier in the video and I skipped over it.
My name is Rand.
Okay, no, here he is. Okay.
Vegas to battle it out.
Okay. I'm gonna turn off the desktop audio again and turn the music back on. I am just gonna... I think this first bit is genuinely the best one for just fishing for poses. Ah, shit, you know what I should have done? I should have had a video saved of that one dude who has like a super expensive knife that he uses for chopping out of there. Have you guys seen that video of like I think it's like a Japanese bartender. He has like this very professional might not be the right word, professionally made, this friggin' wakizashi, or like tiny, no wait, I think the knives are called tanto. Anyway, he has a Japanese knife. It looks like the kind of thing that you would see like somebody use in like a samurai movie, and he uses that to cut ice. And like whenever he does it, it makes a huge spray of ice because he just does it like so decisively. It's like crush, and it's like it goes flying everywhere. I should have saved the video of that guy. That guy always looks like he knows what he's doing, even though the results might be a little bit questionable. Okay, let's actually shrink this down a little bit more. I actually kind of want to make this into a short comic because I feel like that is the best way to present the idea that I have. Okay. I kind of want to make the nose droop down a little bit. Down here. But yeah, the idea is that up here it's going to look like a very professional, very clean looking kind of movement like this guy here. Okay, then over here. I want this guy to be standing straighter while he's doing this, but I don't know if that's feasible. Maybe being... I guess you would generate more power if you were a little bit... If you were, like, leaning forward like this. This would be the... Or maybe the power isn't the point, though. Like, obviously you want a little bit of strength behind it, but maybe you want more control than power. It's hard to say. I do need to shrink down the length of this arm a little bit, though, just to get that up there. Really emphasizing those hips there. I feel like that's the right decision. Okay, boost this up a little bit. But yeah, the idea behind this is that he's trying to have someone record him mixing this drink for social media promotion of the bar. And when he gets a playback video, it looks like that. Hang on. It looks like that gif of a dog sniffing the camera. Hang on. I have the video loaded up here. It looks like this. That's going to be the punchline of the comic. It does feel a little bit difficult to work on specifically like a comedy comic on stream, because I feel like you have to talk about the punchline so early on to just have context for what's happening. Or maybe you don't actually. Maybe that's just like my weak aura. You know, maybe real ballers don't explain what they're doing at any point in their lives. It occurs to this one that I have no idea how to draw snouts per se. So this might have been a little bit ambitious, but I feel like it'll work out one way or another. Okay, so maybe it's just gonna be like... I'm thinking back to the advice that Bunny gave me yesterday on drawing curls, actually, like just kinda bringing that out a little bit. Maybe narrowing it a little bit too. My taste wasn't good enough growing up that I got to be a proper furry. Right, you did send me that PDF actually. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to think about like how different the trajectory of my life would have been if I would have been a furry artist. But that's... hang on. Furry. Search for furry. Ah, yes, here we go. Okay. Ah. Huh. I feel like at this point I really need to lock in and draw animals. I remember hearing this, and this advice may be anecdotal, mind you. I do remember hearing advice that like one of the easiest way to... okay, easy is a very, very strong and very loaded word. But one way that'll really like work your muscles to learn how to animate is to draw a horse running. Apparently that's like the CrossFit of animation work. For some reason, horses are just like so fucking hard to draw. Especially moving. Okay. Time to stop stalling and get into the horse girl anime slash game. This is how we brew the next gen of animators. Is we just this has been the psyop move all along. Is just getting everybody into Uma Musume, and so now everybody will get into horses, and by extension, animating horses. Actually, more interested in the horses they're based on. I do think that is also a lot of the appeal for me is how they connect stuff to reality. For example, I understand that a lot of the horses featured in the game were actually male horses, but they turned them into girls for the sake of the game. And apparently, depending on the side of the head that their hair decoration is on, that's what signifies whether they were like a they're transgendering the horses. Cygames was tapped into this technology a decade ago, and they've been leading the pack ever since. Okay, so far so good. Maybe the nose a little bit lower. But yeah, and it's interesting how a lot of the horses' apparently mannerisms also got translated into the characters themselves. Like, for example, I know that one popular one, Gold Ship, she has a lot of funny expressions and a lot of, like, funny movements because apparently her real-world counterpart is also, like, a silly ass. Like, genuinely, it's just a very goofy horse that makes a lot of funny expressions. Hang on, somebody posted a picture of, like, that was comparing her expressions to the ones in that the horse actually made. Hang on, I can fetch it real quick. Somewhere in here. Ah, here we go. Let me put this up on the Jumbotron. Yeah, so... so, this one down here, the bottom middle one in particular is really funny to me. Really good animation, expression animations on these too, by the way. I saw this post. It's a really good one. I really appreciate the people who can put this sort of thing together. I have this one friend, Briar, who is a horse girl aficionado, and these past few weeks, she has been feasting. I'm glad everybody's getting their turn. You know what I mean? It's always nice when like somebody gets that happening for them. Now I need them to release an Office Lady gacha game just so I can have my turn. But that's a conversation for another time. We can have that conversation when it actually comes out. If and when it comes out. Okay. Reminded me of Watakoi? That was such a good anime. I really like the glasses guy who was just so unbelievably locked in all the time, and then he was also just like this silly ass motherfucker. Like he was also just as goofy as the rest of them, but he just looked so locked in all the time. Lead more older and in workplaces anime. That's what I've been saying. I think teenagers have had enough. Give me the middle-aged anime. Okay, then put this here. Old Man Yaoi and Old Woman Yuri. I do remember there was... This is unrelated to Yuri, sadly, but like, I do remember there was this one manga that somebody recommended me one time that was about like this woman in her, I think 70s or something, that really discovered a passion for cinema and cinematography, and she wanted to like become a director. And I thought that was the coolest concept I've ever heard of. Okay, how do wolf eyes work? Wait, right, the PDF. Always go back to PDF. I don't know. I really like stories where people discover a passion for something. Like, Blue Period. I really liked the setup to Blue Period where... If you've never heard of Blue Period before, it's a story about this guy who, in his last year of high school, discovers that he really, really wants to do art. And he busts his ass, basically, to get into an art university. And after that, I stopped reading because I had other shit I needed to do. But yeah, stuff like that, or like Slam Dunk, where one of the where like the main character like discovers a passion for something. I don't know. There's something very moving to me about those kinds of stories. Damn near shaved off his ears. I almost forgot the ears. I love people who have hobbies. Big same. It is really funny. Like, sometimes you will hear about a manga that had, like, that's, like, super into a specific subject, and you're like, oh, man, I hope the author must really like this thing. And, you know, sometimes you look into, like, the blurb of the book, like, in the author's about page, and sometimes, like, it's like, yeah, the author absolutely loves this shit. But in other cases, it's like the author was desperately just trying to submit different one-shots, and this is the one that worked out. So now they have to learn about the thing that they were writing about. I think that's also really funny. I was reading this one recently called A Witch's Printing Office. That was basically like that. Apparently the guy who made The Witch's Printing Office was just like pitching a whole bunch of different ideas, and the one that got accepted was the one that he didn't really want to draw, but now he was in there, and well, he dug his own grave on that one. That's how it goes. But yeah, a lot of the author's commentary part of the manga of the volume that I read was just him visiting a printing office because he had no fucking idea what a printing office was like. Oh god. You do have to appreciate that sort of audacity. Sometimes you have to just go for it, and the rest will kind of just work itself out. I really like how defined his hands are. One thing that I really like about furry arms is that you can use the pattern of the fur, or like the way that the fur is like sticking out, to really emphasize a direction or a movement. There are other situations as well, though, where it's like the manga isn't really about that hobby, but it is about like something that has a lot of depth to it. I remember when I was in high school, I read this one martial arts manga where, for research purposes, the author basically went to a bunch of different martial arts gyms, and, you know, he had to get some personal instructions from a lot of the gym's instructors. So 80% of the author's commentary section of the volumes was just the author himself getting the crap kicked out of him for like 5 panels, and then thanking the teacher at the gym. Which I think is like the dark side of that pattern. Like, he was very much interested, and this was very much his hobby, but at what cost? I might make his hair stick out in a couple of places. There we go. No, it doesn't have a middle seam down the pants. Okay, and then over here. I might have made him a little bit too top heavy. Let's add some thigh. that's how offsetting works, right? You don't reduce, you only add. That's what having an abundance mindset is all about. The tail's a little bit high up. It needs to be just slightly lower for it to kind of be where the tailbone is. But yeah, it's a delight to see when manga is about the author writing about their niche hobby. And it's even more delightful when if the manga kind of takes off and it just becomes... and now a bunch of other people are getting into the author's hobby. Sometimes it has tragic outcomes, though. Like, I remember there was like this one picture that I saw on the internet of a guitar shop that had its... Or I think it was a pawn shop, actually. And you know how a lot of pawn shops have an instrument section where you can buy a guitar or like a used instrument? They were at their pawn shop's instrument section, and that was like an entire 21-gun salute row of the guitars from Bocce the Rock. From people who try to learn guitars but couldn't really get the hang of it. And it makes me really feel kind of bad for laughing because, you know, that happens, but like, it is a little bit funny. I do have to laugh a little bit. It felt like it felt like looking at that at the fucking Keyblade graveyard from Kingdom Hearts. I'm throwing some awfully heavy stones from this fragile glass house of mine, though, because I still haven't gotten back into music making. So that's on me. One day I'll get back into it. I still have a promise to keep, after all. I actually have a few of those. Or actually more like 2.5. I mean, that is true. The goal was to try it, but I don't know. I feel like I haven't gotten as far as I could yet. There are some times where like you feel like you've gotten, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you try something, it's like, yeah, no, unless I sink entire years into this, it's not going anywhere. But there's like ones where you're like, okay, no, I could probably get better at this if I put more time into it. Like, I could get, like, good at it. I feel like that's where I am with, like, the music making. And it's really frustrating because I've never had that situation happen to me where, like, I feel like I could be good at it and then I back down. I'm too stubborn for that normally. All right. Maybe decreasing the pen size would be good. I'm gonna drink some water. Also, to some extent, I do feel like it's actually a little bit beneficial to have experiences that remind you that you're not that guy. Regarding the Bocce the Rock thing, and also actually a little bit of my music making stuff too. I do think it is healthy to have experiences that remind you that you're not that guy. You need those given to you by trying new stuff regularly, or else it's going to happen for something you really actually care about, and then you're gonna be fucked. Then you're actually gonna pay the price. Okay. And then over here. Yeah, I do need an outlet like that again. I used to have fighting games to like laser focus my scrub rate so I could be hyper competent at my job and my art. So it's about time I started getting back into something to humble me. Oh, wait, that's why I'm struggling with this. I don't need to draw the face pattern. I just need to draw the shape of the face, and then I can do the... Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay. I see the vision now. Oops. Didn't mean to erase all that. I don't know. I think something that's been really valuable about the last couple of days is understanding the order of operations for certain procedures. Like sometimes I'll be trying to draw something on the line art that I really don't need to be drawing on the line art. And then I'll just kind of like snap in realization and be like, "Oh wait, I don't need to draw this right now." Getting down the order of events is really helpful. Okay. I'm gonna give him some like crow's feet and everything. He feels like he should be like an old man. Okay, then just round out the bottom part here. I don't know if that's how teeth work, but I'ma say it is. I might actually lower those eyebrows a little bit so it looks more like Glower. Okay, and then... Okay... Is this the right... Hang on. Okay, yeah. Okay, and then over here... Okay. Putting that over there. And then after that, we need... maybe a little bit like this for the ears. Okay, and then we could do something similar for this ear. I have a craving for something with cinnamon right now. I don't know. I'm feeling like cinnamon right now. At least I would be if my fucking oven worked. I turned around just now to see if it was still displaying that brazen error message it does, but it still is. I'd call a repair guy, but he just tried to unplug it and plug it back in again, like I did, and then he'd like leave, and then the oven would start not working again. Pain in the ass contraption. It's lucky it's attached to my stove. It's been a running motif in my life that I can't use the oven for like months at a time. Like I remember maybe it's just like a normal thing that most people don't notice because they're not super big into baking. Or I guess like air fryers have also really kind of taken over the responsibilities of what an oven used to do for a lot of people. Right? Because like if you think about it, an air fryer is really just like a small oven with better circulation. But it's also, again, it's smaller, so it's not as useful for baking in batches like cookies or, you know, baked goods like I normally go for. So it's difficult. You also can't steam stuff in it? Ah, that's true. I mean, no, you really shouldn't, actually. Never mind. I was about to, like, well, maybe you can XYZ, but I don't think that's a good idea at all, actually. I might actually just... I've seen people do it, but I ain't doing that. It does feel a little bit electrical hazardy. If I'm gonna be real, the idea of like using your air fryer to steam something, it does feel reticent of an electrical hazard waiting to happen. So maybe not for me, you know, maybe for another brave soul, but maybe not for this one. I've seen a lot of people do some crazy shit with like all sorts of different appliances. I saw some dude dishwash their George Foreman grill, and it was like I felt like I was watching an alien from another dimension somehow operating in ours. Like, bro, what do you mean you threw it in the dishwasher? That's an electronic device. Sometimes it feels like they're trying to kill you on purpose. A little bit. Wait, I know what's bugging me about this. It's the rest of the... So maybe like this. Okay, yeah. That's making a lot of sense. But yeah, cooking hacks, reels, and YouTube shorts and whatever are where the bravest souls on Earth hone their steel. I do think that there should be an upper limit to how bold you get, though, because I remember seeing this one guy who had a show called, like, It's Alive or something on one of those cooking YouTube, like, networks, and I think he got, like, botulism, like, 3 times. Because he specialized in, like, fermented goods, and I think he just may not have played it safely the right number of times, so he got botulism. So, that's how it goes. I don't know, that's why I'm always super nervous about fermenting stuff, because to begin with, I don't really like fermented stuff all that much. So, it's kind of a all-loss, no-win gamble for me if I do it. I remember, actually something that I've been meaning to get back into, and this is absolutely not good for me with the way that my schedule is kind of like picking up little by little, but something that I've been meaning to get back into is incremental games. Like, you know those games where you just like have a very kind of repetitive gameplay loop, and then you get some like in-game currency and you use that to upgrade your character, and you go back and now you're doing bigger numbers and you're getting more points? Those kinds of games. I love those games as a kid. Couldn't get enough of them. And I've recently been recommended this YouTube channel that specializes in them, and he just like plays through them a little bit. He actually plays a really wide variety of games, but he's not very good at a lot of them. But he played through this one that was like a Meteors clone, but with that kind of incremental progress, and that like awakened something within me. I remember I was like having like Neo style flashbacks to my childhood, just like doing futzing around on the computer and finding little games like this on... Actually, I didn't really go to Newgrounds. I think I was an Armor Games kind of dude. Plays games, but isn't very good at them. Hard. The important thing is that you have fun. God, yeah. When I was playing I Am Your Beast, a lot of the story missions are locked behind... Like, once you progress far enough into the story, they don't lock you out of the story missions on like a timer or anything. They lock you out of the story missions and say like, you need to get S rank on X number of missions before you can proceed, or you need to get 3 bonus objectives in X number of missions before you can proceed. And they're mostly doable, but I do remember sweating my boots a little bit whenever that happened, because I was like barely scraping by some of these levels, and I didn't know if I had the wherewithal to like sink time into like getting an S rank. But yeah, I think it only happened like what, 4 times in total of like 26 levels. So pretty good, honestly. I might just make this into like one big hair thingy. One big side lock. Okay, there we go. Actually, something that I've been meaning to get around to doing is watching this one guy's retrospective on the Ultima series. There's this channel called Modular who does really good retrospectives of the Ultima series that I really enjoyed, because he also has a lot of commentary on like the development of the games, the kind of culture that existed in game development at the time of their making, which helped inform a lot of the decisions that went into the process of making those games. Okay, this eye is a little bit too much to the left now. Or to the right. I don't know. Thorough gameplay is all well and good, but my bread and butter is whenever they have like information about the development of the project. I don't know. To me, that stuff is worth its weight in gold, especially if it has an interesting story behind it. I don't know. Since I've had some experiences where like context really helped me recontextualize a work, I found that having the context in which a work was created is almost kind of vital to understanding the work itself. In some cases, you can't just like death of the author that shit and just say like, yeah, no, okay, I'm gonna take this at face value, and that works a lot of the time. But it's, I don't know, there are some situations where you really do appreciate that additional information and richness to the narrative. Okay, gonna put the collarbone down over here. Okay, let me stretch my wrist real quick. We've been going for almost an hour now. Little under. I might vicariously get into the Uma Musume game because apparently tomorrow V is doing a stream of her playthrough of it. It's been an hour. I mean, a little less than an hour. It's been like 55-ish minutes. We started at 6:30 ET, so. Okay. Yeah, between getting the pose reference, drawing the sketch, and then starting lining, and then also remembering how, or not even remembering, learning how to draw furry faces, I do think it's been an hour's worth of activity. There's a phrase that I really like that I heard once where somebody was being, it was from the story where somebody was being told to train for about 100 days or so, and they weren't given like a specific end goal, but they were told, I don't have, like, basically they were told, I don't have like a challenge for you at the end or something that you need to do to prove yourself that the training was successful, but you should at least be 100 days stronger. And that's something that I like to use to look at my productivity sometimes. It's not a healthy lens to just like look at your life in terms of your productivity. But like if you take a look at what you've done and you're like, okay, have I done an hour's worth of work? Have we accomplished what like an hour's worth of work we would like to be? And if the answer is no, then you know that's a sign that either you're maybe not in an environment, or you're not doing something that is getting you to the productivity levels that you need, or the work that you're doing is maybe beyond the scope of your abilities, and you may need to like put some extra time into planning, or you know, just kind of continue keeping your head down and working it out. Take a look at this. Okay. I want to make like nice, strong-looking fingers for this guy. Okay, there we go. I love drawing like these kind of like gnarly finger styles. I will say, Leo, whenever I draw a cup-shaped object, I remember that fucking the thing that happened during the Valhalla fan art stream where I was like struggling to draw one of these tumblers, and you were just like, dude, just get a circle tool and use that. And then I did that and it was way easier. Occasionally you just do need somebody to tell you the simple solution. Let's see, scale up width, just make this a little bit thicker on the outside. You know what I need to get soon, but I haven't remembered to get any time that I've been out and about? Instant coffee. I ran out of my caffeinated instant coffee, and now all I have is decaf. And while that's good, it's not what I need out of my beverage in the morning. Making a very beautiful pizza dough, and you reminded me to check on it. Nice. I'm glad I could help. I'm glad I could help you keep track of your pizza dough and its like rising process. Leavening. That's the word. Leavening. Also to get up. Actually, you got a point. There's no really good way to like stretch your legs in your seat, but you can open up your hips a little bit. You ever sit them down for so long you forget how your legs work? Yeah, whenever I'm on a plane. Fucking... You sit on a plane for 5 hours and you come out with your legs looking like Bambi. Learning how to walk. It always takes some getting used to. That's something that I don't know, it has actually been a long time since I've last gone on an airplane ride, though. So I might have lost my edge. I might actually be more soundly defeated now by the... Apparently you're supposed to get up and walk around every hour, but I don't know if you can do that on a plane. I mean, there's opportunities for sure. I mean, if everybody did it, though, that would be kind of a problem. Like, could you imagine the kind of hubbub that would happen if like, every hour of, like... everybody was trying to walk around a little bit. Like, even assuming they're not doing it at the same time, the aisle is only so big, and everybody is, like, a little bit wide. So it's very difficult to keep track of that, I suppose. Like a lot of things, I imagine the get up and walk around every hour thing is good for being healthy, but it's not necessary to... a little bit wide. I am talking as somebody who has like ethnic hips. The ethnic Latino hips. I need a certain degree of space to operate in. I know you know, bro. I've been terrorized by them. They threw me in a pit. Yeah, no. I thought it was strange when the stewardess brought out a tape measure and she measured the circumference of my bust, waist, and hips, and then she threw me into the back of the plane, and then she spat on me dismissively. I thought that was a little bit weird, but it turns out that there is in fact a reason for it. There was this one crazy... Are you /JK or /serious right now? I am absolutely /JK. My bad. I should have clarified. I did not, in fact, get thrown at the back of the plane and spat on for being wide-hipped. My bad. No, if that had actually happened, the fat phobia would have been crazy. I would have had to start swinging. The airline would have heard from me for sure. On the other hand, if you get tossed into like the wide hip section, that means other people with wide hips will be there to commiserate with you, and that could be good for you in some regards. There was this one ancient Egyptian poem that I read about a guy talking about it like his wife, I think. And I think he said something to the effect of, like, her hips agonize her with their weight as she walks, and they agonize me as she leaves. And I was like, this guy needed to be alive during, like, the early 2000s hip-hop boom. Like, that's a straight-up bar. He was ahead of his time a little bit. I think this hand needs to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It is nice reading ancient poetry and ancient texts sometimes, because you do realize that sometimes time is just a flat circle. Like, they'll say some shit that you would think of like, damn, I feel like my own geography teacher said that to me in one time. Very funny coincidences. Okay. Okay, and then maybe no folds there, but definitely like the green shirt over here. Magnificent. Come on. Little bit of a divot there, and then we can rotate that around. This is coming along really nicely. I'm really happy with how it's developing. Got it. They released a new opening for the Don Da Don Season 2 that's coming out recently. And it's really good, but I don't think it had like the same kind of bite that the first season's opening did for me. But at the same time, I do also appreciate that too much creepy nuts is probably not good for the system. Like, I think, given Dun Da Dun, we had them on the Mashal opening theme, and then we had them again on the Dun Da Dun theme. So I think between those two, we were at risk of nutting too much, I fear. Kind of like that one season where Yoasobi sang like 50 openings in one go. Well, I think that I was actually spread over several seasons, so maybe it wasn't so noticeable at that point. But I do remember her being very, very popular for that. I do appreciate that they got Kenji Yonezu for that new Gundam anime opening, even if the anime itself appears to have like angered a lot of people due to apparently being kind of dog water. Word on the street is that it wasn't very good. The ending wasn't very enjoyable. But that's okay. Not every season of Gundam needs to be Witch from Mercury, which I still haven't watched. But from what I understand, it is very good. I'm not ready to fall into the Gundam rabbit hole just yet. I'll give it a couple more years, and then I'll see if it happens naturally or not. I reckon as I approach my 30s, I'll need to eventually get into, like, at least one old head thing to be a pervert about. Thought I was already in there? I flirted with some of the core understandings of it, but not really watched any of the series itself. Like, I know a lot of the core archetypes and characters, but not the actual plot lines themselves. This man's boobs are tormenting me. How do I... Oh, okay, here we go. This is the angle. This is the way. Okay. But yeah, as I approach my 30s, I do think I need to like choose some kind of old head media to get immensely sicko about. And Gundam's looking pretty tempting, I'm not gonna lie. That light activated my neurons. That's gonna be like my catchphrase now, just to make sure people are still paying attention to what I'm saying. It's like jangling keys. That would be really scary if like a streamer that I was listening to just casually just chatting about stuff while I was spacing out or drawing on the side, just immediately just like turned to the camera dead-eyed and was like, "Are you still with me? Are you still listening?" Like, I think that would genuinely freak me the fuck out. Oh, I take notes. Please don't! Or actually, maybe do. You know what? This is your art. You are... All of us on here on Twitch are, in our own ways, artists. If you believe that this is what you want your art to be, then I am happy to have helped. You want a break from the ads? When VC gets really quiet and people are dissociating, I play the trumpet sound. God. I've never had that be a problem because, like, most of the time in group chats or in video calls, or not video calls, in voice calls, we're either always yapping about something or... My problem is that too many people are talking a lot of the time. Like, if too many people are talking at once, I feel like I start ungluing from reality. Like, that is my kryptonite, is too many people talking at once, and I don't know which conversation to follow, so I just kind of start, like, getting really quiet and don't know when to talk, or what to say, really. At that point, I just kind of tune out and lower the volume and hope I don't get stressed. Thankfully, that hasn't been a problem in these last 2 years. There was one group that was really bad about it that I got, like, super frustrated by it. I never know what to talk about, so that's my podcast. That is good that you're taking that you find benefits in it. Oop, hang on. Does this guy need pockets? I'm thinking maybe not so much. Maybe the reason the waistband is like that is so that he doesn't need to use them. Yeah, I've heard that's a problem. Ooh, what about his tips? They go in the waistband. Wait, no, hang on. That might be taken the wrong way. He tucks them into the waistband. Like, you know how I've seen this before. I swear to God, I've seen this before. Women's yoga pants have like a little tuckable section right here in the waistband that you can use as a pocket. I've seen it. It's real. At least that's what the people in my high school did. They just like tuck stuff away into their black hole waistbands, into their fucking Lululemons, and their goods were never to be seen again. Oh god, you just frickin' unlocked a memory? My fault. They made that shit themselves? What, like they had to modify the yoga pants? In order to have like waist capacity? That's so awesome. They had to fucking jailbreak their Lululemons to fucking get enough room to hold maybe a phone and a wallet. Fuck. About to say, I've never seen that in my friggin' life. It's absolutely a thing. I don't think the people in my high school knew how to sew very much, so I don't think they had like that capacity. Hang on, waistband pocket, Lululemons, yoga pant, not pants, just yoga pant. Yoga pants with pockets. No, that's not what that is. No, these are just like yoga pants with pockets. I'm looking for like hidden compartments. They used to cut holes on the waistband in the inside. Hang on. Waistband pocket Lululemon. Waistband phone storage Lululemon yoga pant. Hang on, maybe I do need to like look and find some blog post. Adjustable waistband pants, align full length, ABC, Lululemon prints, dual pouch wallet fits. Oh no, this is like an outside accessory. God damn you! No line pant unboxing. What the? Hang on. Phone, Lululemon yoga pants. Or yoga... Yeah, no, I'm wasting too much time on this. The pockets weren't real? Fuck. Hang on, what about just like yoga pocket waistband storage? No. Oh my god, am I... Oh god, no. Am I really... Was I really just hallucinating all that? God damn it. I swear to god I saw it though. Or maybe they were just like barbarians who... Wait. Hang on. Pause the menu. Check this out. Stop the music. Alright, high-waisted yoga pants from Yuga. Experience comfort and support in every movement. One hidden pocket. A card-sized hidden pocket, and I bet you could use that for a phone. Look at that. You look at that, and you tell me that... Oh, they also have side pockets right over here. I was too focused on the hidden pocket, but like they do also have like normal pockets. But this is the kind of thing that I was talking about. First time I've ever seen that in my life. I thought I was hallucinating. How do you think I feel? God. All right. We wasted too much time on that. That reminds me, I just found out my biker shorts had pockets the other day. Oh, word? That's nice. Finding pockets that you didn't know about in your pants is kind of a hit or miss activity for me. Because like sometimes it's like, yes, God, I really needed extra pockets. This will be so handy. And at other times it's like, oh man, this pocket is too tiny for me to fit anything in there. I'm not. This is really kind of useless. So yeah, real hit or miss. Jacket, extra pockets though, real nice. Unless they're like on the arms. They should bring back Junkos. Junkos were those really wide-legged pants, weren't they? Honest, I agree. I'd be down for that. Okay, are we good on this? I think so. Time to flip the camp. Ooh. That is looking a little bit flat on this side, isn't it? On the bright side, the body doesn't seem that bad. Yeah, the body's pretty much fine. It's just a head. Brother Flathead. I'll never forget how... I think like the ultimate linguistic holdover from that period where people were obsessed with Hello Street Cat was for me that now whenever I see a random animal or creature, I call them like brother physical description. Like I have there's a friend of the channel, Sentai. They have sent me pictures of bush dogs for the past few weeks, on and off. It's not a daily thing precisely, but they do it pretty regularly, and it's really nice. I like receiving those pictures. However, I don't have much to say about them, so I just comment on the dog's attributes, like what I think of the dog, and like I give them a physical description name. Like I called one like Brother Vigilant, for example, or like Brother. Hang on. Let me see if I can pull up a couple of these. Hang on. Open link. Right, so like this guy, for example, I called this guy Brother Vigilant. This guy, I called him Brother Wide-Eyed. And this guy, you know that's Brother Low Battery. But I've just been doing that, and I feel so awkward. Because I don't have anything more productive to add to the conversation. I hope they get a kick out of the descriptors. I do appreciate them sending me those animal pictures, though. I don't know. It's just nice to have somebody send you things randomly. You know what I mean? Well, no. Okay, big asterisk. Big asterisk on that sentence that I just said. It's nice to send you... It's nice when somebody sends you things that are consistent and just kind of nice to look at. Like animal pictures. There's this post that's been going on around Tumblr recently where somebody accuses... It's set in the Pokemon universe. They are talking to someone's talking to a trainer who is letting their... I forgot the evolution, the first evolution of Charmander. Okay, it goes Charmander. What was the fucking second one in the Charmander line? Oh god, hang on. Charmander. What's the next one? What is the Charmeleon? Right. Like their Charmeleon is vaping and they think that it's unhealthy. Hang on, so Burger Head Tumbler. Let me see if I can like hang on. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna find this, I don't think. But yeah, very funny little comic. That artist in particular has a really strong skill for communicating beats and lapses in a conversation. Like they have a lot of panels where like the characters are just reacting to something that was said, and it doesn't feel repetitive or annoying when it happens. It just feels like a natural flow of the conversation. I feel like it's hard to do that without making it feel rambly, but they have a very strong capability for it. This ear is fucking me up. Just kind of tilt it a little bit to the left. I think it's gonna solve most of my problems with it. That ear fluff is too high. Needs to be a little bit lower. This could stand to be a little bit more rounded out. Okay, and then... Yep, just undo that ear fluff from existence. Like it was never there. And I think that's pretty good. I will say that maybe if I round out that corner, that cheekbone there, I do think it'll be a little bit more fluid. Like so. Something that I've noticed recently is that I'm not very good. I need to start reading more. There are some Japanese songs, right? There are some like J-rock songs, some J-pop songs that have English lyrics thrown in there sometimes. And I really need to start looking up the lyrics to it before I start like repeating it to myself in my head. I usually don't sing it out loud. I repeat it to myself in my head, but the problem is like eventually like the version that I repeat will become like the quote-unquote canon version in my mind. And the problem is that a lot of the times I mishear what lyrics are actually being said. Like there's this one Canaria song called Brain that in one segment they're singing like something like Too Much Brain or something like that. And I heard it as Too Much Brain. And now whenever I'm listening to that song, I need to like course correct myself while I'm listening to it. It's a little bit of a funny circumstance to have. I don't know, it's not a bad thing necessarily to have like your own interpretation of the lyrics. Like I remember another time this happened was with the song... It had a really long title. It's like, That's What We Call Love on This Earth by Sambo Master. Very, very good song, very fun song. I misheard the part where they're singing I Tohewa, which means love and peace, as I don't hate the world. And that, again, that took a lot of adjusting to get used to. after I figured out the actual lyrics. Or after I looked up the actual lyrics. Okay, I need to bring out the dog reference. Actually, maybe I need to just, like, overlay it over the speech bubble. We can use a slightly thicker brush for this one. Wait, hang on. We also need to... Hang on. Something's weird with this one. Brush shape... The anti-aliasing is a little bit weird. Let's just turn that to weak. There we go. That's a little bit easier on the eyes. I'm gonna take a last little sip of water. Okay. Staring right down the barrels of that thing. It is really funny making a dog have like a half-lidded look to their eyes, like this. This is coming along really well. I know I'm cooking with a joke or a punchline whenever I'm like giggling to myself while I'm drawing it. Okay, so that's gonna kind of coming down like this. Okay. And then we add the shirt collar. Ruining this man's whole career. Okay. This is gonna kind of come in like this. I think this is a little bit too early to start talking about next year's art fight, but I do want to try at some point trying to do like themed attacks. Like doing all the attacks in one specific style, rather than just like doing it as I normally would any drawing. Earlier when I was talking about that Witches Printing Office manga, one of the things that they talked about was the idea of a catalog cut, or a circle cut, I think the name was, actually. And what that is that because of how big certain convention events like Comic-Con are, they publish catalogs of the authors who are going to attend the convention, who are going to be selling at the convention, and what they are going to be selling. Just so that people who are attending also know, okay, I'm going to line up for this day, they're selling on this day, yada, yada, yada. It's just easier for logistics for everyone. And normally what you do for these cutouts, for these circle cuts, is that you would have like a small additional drawing, maybe a phrase or something, for yourself and where you would be posted at that convention. I thought it'd be kind of an interesting idea to try and make the drawings in the format of a circle cut, which is normally a little something like this, where they have the illustration here, the booth number here, and the circle's name here. I don't know, I think that would be interesting. It is an idea that I've been kicking around, but I didn't have the guts to commit to it from day one, so now I'm a little worried about pivoting. Maybe as time goes on, and oh my god. I might have peaked here, I fear. Okay, we're gonna move this over here. Oh right, I wanted to do like a droopy nose when he was sad. Alright, let's do that. Also, 2 days in, and now I've gotten the art of burrito folding down to a science. Okay, gonna go in like this. It does feel a little bit like I'm just copying the pose on the character sheet. I want to avoid that. Okay. There we go. We can... Hang on. That's why I could stand to be a little bit more vertical. Okay, and then over here, we're gonna have... Perfect. Actually, I didn't think to ask whether this character was like set in a fantasy setting or not, so having a phone might be a little bit of a anachronism. An anachronism? Whatever that word is. Anachronic, right. It would have to be like anachronism because it would be like anarchic plus chrono. Right. Okay, and then over here. Can't forget the claws. Okay. Moving this up here. Turning down the scale of my brush. Actually, I might do that for this section too. Okay. Let's get started. Actually, I need that back real quick. Nope. Hang on. Let's try that one more again. There we go. Okay. Pizza's been acquired. Congratulations. I hope it came out nice and tasty. Enjoy it. There's something that hits different about homemade pizza. Like, obviously it's going to taste different because it's not the same ingredients or the same procedures that go into making it. But something about it does feel more valuable since you made it yourself. I don't know. Like, to me, pizza from home and pizza from the store are like two very, very different categories of food. Yeah, it makes me want bought pizza, but then the dough comes out real good. I'm filled with pride and dolphins. That's right. Yeah, I think it's also the sauce that's a big factor of it for me. Like, I feel like the sauce in a homemade pizza tastes, like, slightly different, but more, I don't know, homey than one that you would get from a store. It's a good taste. Hang on, where's the hole? There we go. Yeah, I forgot that we just need to fill this whole top part here as well. I almost started filling in the the ear with my brush tool because I was busy trying to check out like what the inside of the ears looked like for this guy. It looks like rather than them being the secondary tone on the muzzle, it's actually more like a darker version of the same red tone. So that's gonna make life a little bit easier. Hang on, there's a little bit of a line here that I keep snagging on, and it's bugging the crap out of me. Okay, I see. Okay, and then we're gonna have kind of side bits come in like this. Okay, darker on the inside of the ears. The nose is fine as it is, I think. I do need to add these redder marks within some of the fur patterns. Like there's just a little bit above and around the eye. And it kind of goes around from under like here. And then it also curls around on the chest like this. These might be scars or something. It might not be like a fur pattern like I'm thinking. It's entirely possible. Okay, and then... it'll kind of like start moving in from here. Okay, and then the underside over here. Thankfully, Toast provided a nice big example of like what the inside of the mouth looks like, so we can just borrow that. I think it'd be good to keep the area around the lip black like that. Dogs have that. I think actual dogs have that too. Again, debatable whether this guy's a dog or not. Might have that dog in him for all we know, but we don't know if he's a dog for sure. Alright, then over here. The one thing that I will always remember from my Yakuza 0 playthrough is that while I was browsing through Twitter one time, somebody posted a picture of Yakuza 0 Majima with the caption, "They euthanized the dog in me." That was a deranged thing to say, but I understand. That definitely suits that description definitely suits him at the time. Also, I'm gonna just blunt out the kind of curve here, because I feel like as it is, it looks a little bit fox-like. Reminds me of my favorite shirt, and the I got that dog in me, and it's a Costco hot dog combo. Sick. That's a really good shirt, actually. Shit, I'm angry. I'm angry that I didn't think of that. Really good shirt concept. Also, I'm gonna add more to this layer of the fur here. I'm going to buy it. It will be in my hands. Yeah, I'm sure there is. I don't know. Depending on how cool the staff at your local t-shirt printing shop might be, you might have a chance just asking them. Like, you're one customer. And technically, as long as it doesn't have the Costco branding on it anywhere, or even if it does have it, I think they might be amenable to it. The worst they could say is no. And it's not like you're planning on reselling the shirt either. You're very much operating in a legal gray area. But yeah, like I said, the worst they can say is no. And between you and me, t-shirt shops don't seem to have the tightest of scruples. So I think you've got a fair chance. Oh, I really like his eye colors too. I didn't notice it before, but it's like this nice kind of umber. Okay, and then maybe just a little bit of orange to round out the inside here. Maybe instead of the normal circles, we can just have like how Toast did it and have a like little line slash through it. Yeah, that seems to have like slightly more desolation than the circles. I think that was a good choice. Okay, and then we are going to start with the pants. I think we're actually done with the flats coloring. Although I guess we could just do the one down here real quick. I will say, for as skeptical as I was of the ice cream tool, it really has started pulling its weight. I don't know, I'm surprised at myself by like how surprisingly conveniently it makes everything, just because I don't need to go hunt down every little errant pixel now. Come on, bud. There we go. Yeah, I should also start doing that. Yeah, I mean, in my case, it's very easy because I do my line art in a very clean way that's supposed to be used with the fill tool. So I'm guessing your mileage will probably vary on the utility of that. But yeah, it kind of lends itself well to the tool's functions, at least. Maybe in another 5 years, I'll eventually be able to like do that thing that some. Yeah, the one complaint that I have about it is that sometimes it leaves behind this like 1 pixel thick thing where it just doesn't fill it, but that's it almost never happens. I'm thinking this guy's actually more like a mint green phone case kind of guy. Or like a jade. Sometimes you think you know a guy and then they pull out their purple phone case. People with purple phone cases have a very distinct aura about them. I guess you could say that about a lot of different phone cases, but I don't know. Purple specifically is like one of those colors that has, I don't know, significance to it, I feel. But that's very much an inaccurate thing that I've observed happen. Just because you've observed it happen doesn't mean that it's going to happen every time. If your buddy has a purple phone case, they might be Waluigi. You don't know. It's impossible to tell. Do you trust them enough to risk it? To risk being friends with Waluigi? Honestly, being friends with Wario and Waluigi doesn't seem like that bad of a deal. If I may speak candidly. They seem like kind of overbearing and annoying, but I feel like the perks of hanging out with them are actually pretty good, all things considered. Like they make it in contraptions. One of them's like a multi-millionaire or something, and you can probably like get money from him just by doing micro games. I don't know. It seems like a good arrangement. And honestly, I think if like Waluigi, I feel like Waluigi is a guy that turns it off when he's not at work. You know what I mean? Like when he's hanging out with Wario, he has absolutely putting on like the performance to like be like blowjob brother number 2. But I think like off the clock, he's probably a pretty good hang. You know, I feel like conversations with Waluigi would probably get very introspective, very deep, and he'll get you to open up in a way that you didn't really expect from a guy like him. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting if he was a character more like that instead of like, you know, Wario but taller. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to deal with before I move on to shading? I think that's pretty much it. Alright, let's get to it. Now, this needs to be like a richer color. Ooh, like maybe this purple. Speaking of which... God, I remember seeing this one Tumblr post that was like $10,000 in cash right now or marriage with Jafar from the movie Aladdin. And one of the people who was responding to the post was like, does Jafar love me? And the post responded, hell no. I feel like that's a lot of the Wario brothers friendship dilemma that I had just now kind of broken down. God, I remember there was like this. Remember there was that one bit where like people are like, 10 grand or dinner with like Jay-Z, and the people who are choosing dinner with Jay-Z are like it's really funny because nobody justified it by saying that they like Jay-Z's music or that they were a big fan. Every single one of them was like, no, listen, if I can talk to Jay-Z, I can get like business intel that'll be worth way more than $10,000. I can turn that around. And I think even Jay-Z jumped into the conversation at one point and been like, you should have taken the $10,000. You're an idiot. For this hypothetical scenario. Okay. Then over here. Perfect. Okay. And there's going to be like a little bit of a shadow drop here. Honestly, I think I might have gone too purple with this. Let me see if I can switch that back around a little bit. Maybe more saturation and not brighter necessarily, but I was kind of a fan of that bluish shade for the shading. I don't know, that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's the right call to be adventurous right now, though. Let's leave it at that for now. Maybe not there. No, that doesn't seem right either. Okay, and then that's gonna go in like this. And what I might do is I might just add a little bit of a darker tone at the bottom of these ears, just so that they have a little bit of texture to them. That seems like a good move. In the meantime, the rest of this can get this lovely, lovely little sparkly effect. I love shiny and sparkly things. I'm like a crow. Big same. Okay, maybe a little bit smaller. Yeah, I've got the knick-knack habits of like a man with way more shelves in his house than I currently do. Man, I bet this guy conditions like hell. To have hair this shiny, this lustrous. Is this legal? No, no. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. Actually, what I might be able to do is have a small, like, counter shade up here. Or maybe even if I grab, like, one of these, like, lighter pixels, I could have, like, just a small amount of texturing to make it more clear how the hair strands are falling. Sort of like that, yeah. It is if there's no cops around. That's spirit. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna add a little bit of this to everything. It's like paprika. Okay, that's some fairly non-intrusive lighting effects for the hair. We can add a little bit for the ears, too. Why not? Okay. We can add a little bit of shadow here and there. And just a tiny bit of a darker tone for this marking here. For this guy, I don't care if his eyes... Yesterday we had the issue where like the eyes looked really scary because it didn't shade them yet. In this case, it's fine if it looks scary a little bit. The evil and intimidating dog. And actually, we might add a little bit of like the eyeshadow trick here. Perfect. Okay, and we can use the same color here for the snout highlight. Okay, it's just gonna kind of droop down. And I might just add a gradient up top here to let it flow properly. Because right now there's very little differentiation between the top of the head shading and the bottom of the head shading, so a little bit of a gradient there can really help even that out. I think, at least. Okay, the shadows cast. And same deal here, more or less, is where we'll just have the shadows coming in from the bottom. As above, so below. Alright. And again, very similar approach with the arms. Maybe we can use something between these two for shading the arms, because the light one is too light and the dark one is too dark right now. Okay, then over here. It's a little bit smooth right now. Let me add some... Let me mingle in some of the primary tone colors so we can have it look more like fur. That's what that lighter color is going to be really helpful for, is for just bridging the gap between those. Like this one right here, just having that around and just like sprinkling that all over the place is going to really help to maintain some clean texture. Just here, there, and everywhere. Just sprinkled all over the place like that. That should be good. What we need is... Actually, maybe the same color can be used for the... Yeah, no, the top fur should be fine with just this color. Nope, not like that. There we go. Okay. And from then on... Let's try something similar, but for the bottom of the hand. Now, adding too much of that makes it look like the thumb is webbed. Just need a little bit like that. Webbed limbs is one of those all-timer kind of deformities, I feel. Like, there's something to be said for something that is, like, medically kind of insignificant, but it does bug you, right? Like, people born with webbed toes can't really wear flip-flops, and that's gotta be hella annoying. But, you know, given everything that could have happened, you're at the same time, you're like, well, I guess I can't be too torn up about it. Well, I guess the same could be said for a lot of different health conditions. Slides! You're right, actually. Technology has advanced to the point that where they can also enjoy having their dogs out. Okay. And then maybe let's bring this shadow a little bit higher. Okay, we're gonna have a little bit of a shiny spot on the nose. And I'm going to try and add cracks to it, because that's what dog noses look like. Not really, actually. Hang on. That doesn't look very good. But yeah, that's sufficient, I think. Just giving the nose a little bit of a highlight there. Actually, maybe if I use a watercolor brush and just like ease out the highlight, that'll... Yeah, okay, that looks a lot better as well. I should save my work. And I should check my posture. Okay, and then will be the shirt, the pants, the tail. Okay, let's tackle the pants first. So that's kind of like a low ball kind of, or an easy throw kind of win for me right now. That's a bit much, actually. What about this? Okay, and then... Perfect. And then just a little bit on the side here. There we go. Then what we could do as well is just here where the legs kind of meet up. Yeah, that's good. We can have a little bit of a gradient from top to bottom. Okay, that's not working. Why is that? Okay, so maybe our... Using it to adjust that? Yeah, that's working a lot better. Kind of. I don't think that's actually working. Let's try and find another way through. Maybe from top to bottom will be better. No, that's also looking a little strange. Let's focus on the highlights then. That'll take our mind off of things. I feel like they'd be mostly like airbrush highlights though. So maybe this was the right move. So hang on, if I go back here and then I use the airbrush just over here. Yeah, I don't know what it is about this color, but it's making this very kind of broken up texture that doesn't usually happen. I wonder why. Could we... in my experience, it doesn't really blend out. Or maybe it will. Let's see. Maybe we'll get lucky this time. No, it's just distorting those lines. What is up with this thing today? Any noise? Actually, noise seems to be working pretty good. Adding some nice texture to it, too. Okay, okay. Might be the move. Okay, and then up here too, just a little bit. Nope, not quite. Now maybe the thing will work. Yeah, no, it's working with the lighter color, so I wonder why. Well, not all questions are meant to have answers. Perhaps you need to walk around your room. That is also a good, valid idea. I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to this after stream and be hit with a bolt of lightning, but I'd really like to get as much done of it as I can. It's a little bit too undefined up here. Maybe... Okay, I think it'd be good to use a different layer just in case stuff gets busted. But yeah, maybe using the watercolor brush. Okay, and then we blend that out. Honestly, that's working really well. Very proud of myself. They do look a lot more like yoga pants now, though, which is starting to bring up some unpleasant memories from earlier today. Okay, then over here. And maybe just messing around with the opacity a little bit just so it's not super, super obvious. Yeah, like that. Perfect. Okay, and this shirt is actually... I've been very interested in making the texture for it. But okay, maybe I need to hold off on the shirt for a second, though. I don't know. I feel like the shirt is going to be like the... It's going to be like my dessert for this. Because that's like a silky texture that I think I'm going to really enjoy shading. So I'm going to take care of everything else first. Okay. Use this like lighter color brown. Leaving the best bite for last, you know it. I feel like everybody does it to some extent, but it is very difficult not to take the making the last bite of your sandwich, burger, whatever, handheld food you're eating, not trying to make it the best one. It's like a universal experience. Like maybe, or even for non-handheld foods, this happens to me sometimes. Like sometimes I will like make myself a steak or some other kind of crispy food, and I'll see one that is like nice, that is like significantly crispier than the rest of the meat, and I'll decide, okay, I will leave for last. You will be like the swan song, the send off to this delicious meal that I've made for myself. And in certain ways, it's a form of temperance, right? You have to indulge yourself at a reasonable pace in order to really find the best parts of whatever it is that you're eating. Well, it's possible that I'm overthinking it, but I certainly find joy in it. In this day and age of instant gratification, trying to leave the best bite for last is a sort of temperance and discipline that is almost sort of revolutionary. That's I'm absolutely exaggerating for effect, but I do think that it is important to, I don't know, there's like little bits of restraint that you can show for yourself, right? Sometimes you just need to do that in order to show yourself you're still in control. Deep thoughts hour. Maybe not so much. But I do think that having situations where you can exercise control over your desires is just as important as being able to openly express those desires and being able to indulge in those desires. Because I don't know, sure you have. There's been times where you can like indulge yourself every day in something, but you know, eventually you need to realize, okay, have I been doing this too much? Do I need to maybe slow down a little bit, smell the flowers, try something else for a while so the novelty doesn't wear off? I'm someone who struggles a little bit with the concept of moderation, so maybe that's why I think about these sorts of things. It's relevant to my lived experience. Okay, then for this part here, we might actually make a secondary darker shadow color. Okay, and then this is going to curve back up so that way it will kind of just reach the bottom and... Okay, that looks pretty nice. Let's add the highlights from the hair here in some key strategic locations. Lovely, lovely. I do like that you can broadly categorize tails into like two, furry tails into two major categories. One that knows what conditioner is and one that doesn't. One that has tasted the sweet nectar of conditioner and one that has never known its gentle and soothing touch. I really like the... I haven't played Arknights in literal years, but I do like the approach that they had where a lot of the characters in that game, they had like little flavor text tidbits that had them taking care of like their their animal parts, their like their tails, their horns, whatever they might have had. I don't know. I think it's a nice little gesture. It's like, how do I put it? It's a nice little bit of world building that, taking care of your like animal parts is almost like analogous to having like a good skincare routine. And framing it from that perspective really kind of gave you some insight into like what everybody's routine kind of was. Is this somebody who wants to take care of themselves? Is this somebody who like splurges on, cosmetics and stuff like that to take care of themselves? And if the answer is no, that tells you a lot about them. And if the answer is yes, that might reveal an interesting thing or two. Like, if yes, do they like, do they have a basic routine? Do they invest in like some fancy foreign goods? I don't know. Just small details like that can open up a lot of different little opportunities for both world building and for character development. You know how like in Pokemon, sometimes they'll have a Pokemon that has like, that can only evolve with maximum friendship, and that deep down the trainer is it's probably a little bit of a softie. Like, maybe they might be a hard ass, but they definitely have like a sweet side to them if they have a Pokemon with max friendship. Conversely, if they have like a move that can only do damage if the Pokemon's friendship is low, you're like, oh man, this guy's a total bastard. I don't know, it's nice little touches like that. I mentioned the other day how I really like things that even though nobody might notice them, or it might take serious analysis to even like put together what it means, I really appreciate it when creators add that little bit of extra stuff to it. Okay. The tail's done. The arms could use a little bit more work, if I'm being honest. And just here around the joints. Okay, I think the main things left are the art over here. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's one ear, that's two. Oh, actually, I should probably shade the earrings. Perfect. Okay. Back to business on this dog. This is such a good fucking picture. I'm very proud of myself for making it. God damn. My main goal when I make art is two things. Make something that'll make... My main goal when making art is one thing, which is to make people smile. And sometimes that involves taking some extreme measures. What is happening? Did they take a selfie? Yeah, the idea is that, like, somebody's trying to take a picture of him for, like, promotional purposes for the bar. And they weren't very good at taking the picture. When you ask your buddy to like help take a cool video and like it dawns on you that they might not have been the best person to ask. Let me do it for you, looking ass. Just need to grab a little bit of extra tone in a couple of these places. Okay, then just a little bit of this on the bottom. It's like that one meme of like when two people are like forehead touching and they're like looking at each other and like it shows you the perspective from them and it's a very exaggerated like forehead. I really like that meme. I don't know. I think it used the kind of strain of learning how to use perspective for the forces of good. I can't help but respect that. Well, maybe not so much for the forces of good. That's not as striking as I would hope it would be. Maybe something more like this. Oh yeah, that'll do. Okay, and then pitch black for the inside of the nostril there. And then a nice kind of darker color at the bottom, and with maybe the watercolor brush strokes up top here. Oh, that's why. Hang on. Let me try something real quick. Well, I mean, hang on. We've still got a chance with this. Hang on. Oh no, I accidentally made his eyes evil. Let's fix that real quick. I added a underlayer real quick to... Because sometimes when you zoom out, there's this effect that happens where you can see like there's some white particles, and that often happens because you didn't properly fill the layers underneath. Yeah, no. It's a good thing it was a friend doing this for him, because otherwise he would have been even angrier. Like, could you imagine paying a guy $60 to shoot a professional video for your bartending location, and they come back to you with this? I would be fucking furious. Alright, I think the last part is the shirt and the tumbler. Let's do the tumbler first. Okay, then over here. One phrase that I will never ever forget for my entire life, I don't think, is that I read somebody trash-talking somebody else's haircut, and they described it as that they got their haircut fucked all the way up. And that's such a strong turn of phrase that I just haven't been able to get it out of my head. It comes to mind in this particular situation for reasons that I'm sure make sense. Okay, and then maybe down here we have like a little bit of an intersection between these two. Maybe using the watercolor brush would be better for this. Yeah, okay. But on a different layer. Because I'm gonna want to blend that sucker out. Oh yeah. Okay, then maybe we just go a little bit like this. Oh, that is looking very nice. Okay, let's rinse and repeat up here. Okay, then over here. And then we just have a slightly darker tone for the bottom. All right. Now we can move on to the shirt. Okay. I realized that I might have accidentally messed up the boob to shirt ratio on the outside here. Let me actually just go back real quick and course correct a little bit. Yeah, that'll do. Boy, am I glad that he's in there and that we're out here, and that we're in here and that he's out there. Okay. Nice. Okay. Where was I? Oh, right, the shirt shading. The shading for the shirt. The shading we specifically made for the shirt. That shading. Okay, and then back here. Okay, out here. Alright, we'll use that to begin the shading, and we might actually migrate a little bit of that down to the pants for the elbow there. Yeah, that might be a little bit too high of a contrast, actually. Let's rethink our strategy. So select color gamut, this one here. Expand that by 1 pixel, and then increase contrast and brightness. Okay, maybe brightness by less than that. Actually, that should do pretty well. We can use the darker color for the parts that actually have shadows cast on them. Like around here. Okay, and that's gonna come out like this. Perfect. This is where I kind of wanted that silky texture to come through, especially on the collar. I feel like for stiff regions like this, where it's like... where the shape of it doesn't change much, I feel like that's the best place to put like an emphasis on the texture or shading. Because it's almost like a cheat sheet, like a way to remember, okay, this is supposed to behave this way. And so it's a little bit easier to get it consistently. Hello, Sentai. How you doing? Oh yeah, I actually did want to thank you real quick. Thank you for sending me those bush dog pictures. They really make me smile, so thank you a lot for sending those over. I really do appreciate it. Hell yeah, doggy. That thing. At first, I actually didn't know what animal it was until I remembered like a far off memory from like a year back where we got Elfelt and Strived, and somebody posted what bush dogs look like because those were her favorite animals, and she's weirdly obsessed with them to the point that she named her band after them. What was up with that? Actually, you know what? That's like among the least weird things that she's done. Come to think of it, so maybe I shouldn't try. Maybe I should pick a better target for to be like, why did she do that? Honestly, naming your band after your favorite animal is kind of a solid move. You know, unless something really bad happens to you in that band, like the Nukis. That's right. Like, unless something really bad happens to you in that band and you begin to associate that memory with, like, your favorite animal and that becomes, like, difficult to live with, honestly, it seems like a pretty solid choice. Okay, and then we can... Yeah, they're... they are very silly little animals. Perhaps too silly. I'm just kidding. I don't know, I do think we do need just more animals who are just a little bit ridiculous. I don't know, I feel like they're really what the world needs right now. Bush dogs are plenty good, but we need like diversity in the field. It can't just be bush dogs holding it down for us. Let's continue using the watercolor brush. I need to remember when I'm using the best blender brush, and when I'm using the fingertip brush, because those two are very different things. I also like binturong. Oh, those are those like, what do you call... supersized sea otters, right? Or river otters, I suppose. I remember they're like from Brazil. I believe. The bear cat. Hang on. Binturong. Ah, yeah, that's the one that I was thinking of. Look at this fucking guy. That thing looks like it... that thing looks like it was like doing some Roadrunner and the Coyote type shit. And it just got caught up in a huge explosion right before they took this picture. Does feel a little bit like that. Actually, what we might do is we might bring in a little bit of a gradient up here. Just so that there's a little bit of extra texture. Yeah, this one feels like a more airbrush type of situation. then over here. Blend this out a little bit. Here we go. Okay, then... Yes, yes. And I think this last one should do it. Okay, and down here, similar deal. Speaking of Looney Tunes, Tasmanian Devils are also funny IRL. Hang on, let me take a peep at that. This animal looks pissed. It looks like it's fucking seething. Oh my god. That dude is concerned. Alright, right. Okay, we need a couple of things here. So we need to bring these into a folder. Actually, wait, what's this one do? What's layer 7 do? Oh, it's literally just a little highlight on the eyes. I had no idea. Yeah, no, that... that guy really does look like the angry face emoji. He looks like he's about to cuss. Okay, so... for the background here, let's add... expand by, let's say, 5 pixels. And right now, let's just add whatever color. It's just... gosh dang it. Hang on, I think I forgot to select this area here. Oh, yeah. Okay, expand by, it's like 1 more pixel. Okay, I'm picturing like a more kind of like orange ambiance-y kind of bar vibe. That was a lot of adjectives at once, but hang on, I'm gonna... no, like that bright of an orange is a bit much. It's not good to have the character be like all these dark tones and then have the background be too light. Could I have, like, hang on. I think I have one that's got, like, bottles and stuff in it. Yeah, okay, hang on. We might be in business with this. So what we might do is we might just grab this. And this. And use that. That doesn't really look too good. Maybe if I use like a slightly less saturated color. It's a little better. More saturated here. I mean, that's not too bad. Are these bottles or are these like... hang on, these look like normal jars. We don't really need that. Building curve? Not really what I'm looking for. Confetti, river flow, water surface, random shapes, crowd. book, Rebels. Oh, here we go. Wait, no, that's like... Hang on. Gosh dang it. I swear I had one that was like pure bottles. Nope. I'm suffering a bit because I'm translating a show and this episode is mostly high school girl gossip and text on computer screens. It's really painful to subtitle. Oof. Keep going though, you're doing the Lord's work. Where would we be without our translators? Thank you for your hard work. I'm sure you'll get through it soon. Hopefully they'll move out of either the high school girls or the screen or the screen segment. Wait, is this? No, that looks a little creepy. Having the hands like that looks a little bit much. May I put it somewhere around here? No, but these could be useful. Yeah, like this kind of arcade floor pattern. Wait, what's this one? What about this one? It's a little bit hard to use this one. Isn't there? Hang on, there should be like a like a stock image or something like bar? I literally downloaded a 3D model of a bar. What the hell? Oh shit, that makes my life much easier. Let's just use that. What are we waiting for? Okay. I think I see the pieces to this puzzle. We'll be fine. We're so back. That's right. Okay, maybe like this almost. And then what we do is we go to the settings for the 3D object, and then it usually has like, hang on. Object. We kind of have to play a little bit of a guessing game for like which object each one is. Oh, like there we go. That removed the bar. Okay, and we don't really need to remove anything else, honestly. How does that look without any treatment? Okay. Okay, we need to like pitch the camera a little bit to the left. Oh wait, here we go. Just so that it's like basically aligned with the top of the panel. That should do it. Then just bump it up a little bit. It's a little bit difficult to get the hang of. Hang on, there has to be... Hang on, neutral... Whew. Okay, maybe something like... I feel like I'm sweating bullets trying to finagle this. Okay, I need to hide that one little stool down here in the corner. Okay, that's not it, 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 that's not it. Wait! I think that I removed one of the stools. Okay, there we go. Literally the last one I checked on. Are you for real? Whatever. Alright, what we do here is first of all, we duplicate it just in case we want to go back and grab something else. But then what we do is we rasterize this layer so that it becomes like a raster image. And then we hit it with a gradient map. And that way... Hey, if you want to hurt your eyes, look at the screen real quick. Oh, those are some very, very difficult to get along with colors. Maybe Sunset Purple. Not quite. Let's try a couple of different ones. Go shopping for a little bit. Honestly, I do think... Actually, hang on, this one might be kind of cool. If we use that with a few different layer blending modes. Yeah, like that. Not quite. I need to try something different. Maybe, hang on. Increasing the contrast might help us a little bit here. And also increasing the brightness a little bit. Okay, well, let's try using that. Or actually, let's try the color matching. That might bring forth some unexpected benefits. If we change the hue around a little bit... Sometimes I'm worried that I spend longer futzing around with the gradient map and whatnot than I could be just like drawing a 3-second background. But I'm kind of already fighting the bad fight and I gotta see this through. Wait, actually, come to think of it, I have like this collection of like metal gradients that might be... I mean, it certainly does look metallic, but that's not really the vibe I'm going for. Maybe... Hang on, there's straight up a sepia filter. Let's just use that. Okay, and what we do now is maybe... Okay, this is with screen, and then we're messing around with like a little bit of the hue and luminosity. And what we could do as well is we could also blur this. So that way it's still in focus. Alright, perfect. We'll go with that. Or actually maybe, hang on. Oh, that's kind of nice, actually. Maybe what I need to change isn't the color of this part, but like maybe the color of the background itself. Maybe filter, effect. No. Overlay might be the one. Hang on. So overlay, and then we go to tonal correction, brightness and contrast, increase the brightness. Nope. Luminosity. Saturation, luminosity. It's starting to get a little bit more menacing. Alright, let's... You will like this drink. I swear it on my honor. Hang on, actually, maybe if I flip this around, it'll be a little bit better. Yeah, actually, that's a lot better. And maybe if I even, like... No, increasing the size of it isn't very helpful. Hang on. Free transform, flip that. Just slightly tilt this so that it looks more even. Unlike Sisyphus with that stupid rock of his. But one difference is my story didn't end with me pushing out the boulder. It's going to end with me being happy with this drawing. Possibly. Listen, there's a lot of factors going into an ironic punishment. Sometimes you're just not that guy. Me with this thumb I'm drawing. I think you are that guy, though. I do think you can overpower the thumb. Every time I think of fingers, now I can't stop thinking of that one scene from Everything Everywhere All at Once where she flexes her pinky. What a great movie. Okay, so what I'm thinking is a couple of things. So first step is we merge everything to a new visible layer. So one of my favorites. Yeah, it's real good. Merge visible to a new layer, so that way we don't have to worry about some of the keeping track of some of these layers. And then what we're gonna do is for this top part, we are going to add a slight kind of like film effect with one of the Clip Studio Paint features. So that's going to be retro film, light leak slant, and it's going to be modern. Oh, that doesn't look very good. Maybe sepia? No, that also doesn't look very good. Light leak all? What is with this thing? And filter, effect. Retrofilm's the one we just did. So maybe noise? What happened to homie here? Alright, hang on. Gray color? Ooh, interesting. You know what? Maybe we don't need to have all that. I do think maybe just having... You know what? Actually, what might be even better for this purpose is if we add... Hang on. I'm about to do a massive brain play here. If we add something like this... May thicken it up a little bit, actually. I did that on the same layer. Let's not do that. Try that again. Actually, we might as well just increase the brush size of the square. Okay, and then adjust line width, make that a little thicker. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab with the marquee tool like the outer edges of both of these sides. Just gonna delete those, so we need this to be even though. So maybe like that? Yeah, that seems about right. Okay. There we go. And then we are going to have a big red button up here. And this one we're going to hit with the retro film effect. We're also going to have... Bracket, I guess, would be the right one. So maybe... Hang on. I have one that's really good for this. I think it's called like... It's literally called something like Computertron or something. Console is regular. That doesn't really look very computery. Let me find a more computery looking one. Console is italic? Nope. I have one that's like... Right, I have one called like, Block Stock. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, we're going to add a slightly darker yellow exterior. And then maybe a gradient down here. Why not? Okay. Now we just gotta add the different effects and the text bubbles. Still really proud of how the up close drawing came out. Let me actually shrink him down a little bit. Okay. And for this one, I think we can either use Grind or Pacific Regular, which is my go-to text font. I don't know, let's shade it up for a little bit. Let's use Grind. If I can find it. Grind Medium, yeah, that's the one. Maybe instead of saying after the photo shoot, maybe like 3 days later. Nah. Let's keep it like this. And what we can do as well is we can use this lighter yellow as the font color, and we can put this over here. Or maybe we can break it out into 2 text boxes. Actually, that'll be pretty funny. Okay, and then we do bold and italicized. And then what we can do is we can give them a black outline. What I might also be able to do to emphasize it a little bit is to... Hang on. Just gonna make this a little bit wider on this side. What I can do to emphasize this as well is to just add a little thought bubble right over here. And actually, I do need to go back real quick and add the black color for the earring / ear clipping. There we go. Okay. So up here, let's use... What color should I use? Maybe like this one? Okay, rolling. And then I'm counting on you to get my good side. And we can do a similar thing up here where we use the black outline to make it easier to read. And in a very similar fashion, we can also just add a little bit of a speech bubble over here. Alright, that should do it. I think we're pretty much done. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Is anybody streaming today? I might just end things here, to be honest. Yeah, I'm a head out. Alright, thanks everybody for hanging by. I really appreciate it. Yeah, take care of yourselves. Have a good rest of your evening, and I will see you all next week. Talk to you later. Bye.